Sitting on the flight deck of the USS Hornet is a special F-4 Phantom that's about to get a long overdue update. This exact aircraft was the last Phantom that took off from an active duty U.S. carrier, which launched it into naval aviation history. Let's hear from some of the folks involved, bringing this legend back to life.
I'm a volunteer, and I'm helping to restore this Phantom. In 1971, I was stationed in Hawaii, and this Phantom was the squadron right next door to me, so I got to see this thing fly and do maintenance on it. Little did I know, I'm going to be restoring this thing. It makes me feel great. Today, the pilot and the Rio that flew this plane back in the 80s, they're on the Hornet, and I get to talk with them and show them around the plane, tell them what we're doing, how we're restoring it, getting their input, how it flew, and their experiences on this aircraft. We're getting ready to paint it, and then after we let it set for a little bit, paint a cure, and we'll start putting on all the decals, just like it was when it flew off the Midway. So I'm looking forward to just getting this plane back into its original condition, and it's just a great honor to do that.
We're going back to March 25th, 1986. We're on the USS Midway, CV-41, and we are the finest in the Vigilante stable of pilot and Rios.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well,
Somebody was going to be the last active duty F-4 Phantom to launch off an aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm. So we're the VF-151 Vigilante, Switchbox was the call. The other one was the VF-161 Rock Rivers. Mm-hmm. And the Rock Rivers intend to set themselves up to fly into the history book as that final F-4 launch. Right. But you had some inside information. Let's back it up and cover some of the antics going on between the fighter squadrons and with the other fighter squadron leading up to this final event.
I remember I went and talked to John Boy Snyder. He was the ops officer. Yep. And I asked him, say, JB, who do you want to go on the last flight? He says, I don't know. I think the skipper wants Master Chief Hinton to decide. So I went over to maintenance control, talked to Master Chief. You remember Master Chief?
Yes, oh yes.
I mean, nobody messed with Master Chief.
Nobody messed with Master Chief.
He had a cup of coffee right here, and he seemed to always talk in a growl.
Yes, he never was happy. I never saw a smile.
No. So anyway, as a Master Chief, who do you want to go? And he says, well, I want Mr. Colegrove to go. We were already crewed together, if you remember.
We flew a lot together.
And I think he really appreciated how much you supported the maintenance department. We were in our normal spot on the flight deck.
Yep.
And
remember, they park all the airplanes with their tails over the edge of the flight deck because they need all the room they can get.
And that way the exhaust is not a hazard for the flight deck crew.
People working around. And you're chained down. Keep in mind, you're chained down with these pretty heavy chains all over. And you've got gear, little trucks called huffers, which help us start the airplane by blowing air.
Right.
And they're all in the mix of all this stuff going on. And you got every airplane has a bunch of people around it, the plane captain, a couple troubleshooters, safety officer, you'll have the fueling crews, who the purple shirts are out there, you'll have the ordnance crews helping out. There will be no ordnance on a fly-off, of course. Who else would be out there? Yellow shirts are the directors. They're telling the pilot how to move the airplane. The flight deck has to be cleared of all these planes because the last thing they want to do is crane off an airplane in the harbor. The Midway would usually carry a complement of 16 Phantoms. Of course, similar quantities of airplanes from the A7 squadrons and the A6 squadrons and a couple of E2s and some helicopters.
So after 2.5 years on the Midway, you've been there 3.5 just about.
Yeah.
We just came off an Indian Ocean cruise. After an IO cruise, we were all tired and anxious to get home and see our wives.
And of course, they'd already sent off about half the air wing already. A lot of the A7s had gone. The first sets of Phantoms had all left. The first 8 Phantoms, 4 from each squadron, had all gone. They were getting the deck pretty empty. So by the time we're manning up, there's already a lot of space out there.
There were only 2 planes left on the deck. It was our Vigilante plane and our sister squadron, Rock Rivers. And we both had this problem.
Yes, and we were very competitive. The squadrons have always been competitive, even before this particular point. So there would be a natural rivalry there, and there could only be one winner in this particular race. one person coming in last, so to speak, as the Phantoms begin to taxi and get called up, I noticed that my pneumatics are gone. And of course, those who may not remember or don't know, the Phantom, when you go on a catapult launch, we use a thing called a bridle, which hooks to the, it's a huge chunk of iron that hooks to the airplane and just loops around what's called the shuttle in the catapult. But you've got to go off at an angle of attack. So the Phantom had long since had a nose strut extension. And you'd be taxiing like this, they get you all set, and the nose strut would go up. That was done by pneumatics. You had to have pneumatics for that nose strut to go up. No nose strut up, no launchy. So
we wouldn't have the angle of attack.
Didn't have the angle of attack.
That we'd need to take off.
Phantom doesn't fly too well going that way off the front end. And there is a gauge in the pilot. It's not an easy gauge to see. You don't need to look at it a whole lot, right down there by your knee. And it read 0. And now what do we do? Well, I understand that the other plane had a hydraulics problem.
And the two planes were sitting there, and the air boss came up over the radio.
Oh.
And I remember him saying, "Rock, what's your problem?" And Rock said, "Yeah, I got the hydraulic problem, boss." Then he immediately, "Switchbox, what's your problem?" "Boss, we have a pneumatic problem." And you could tell he wasn't very satisfied because he comes right back up to the Rock and says, "Rock, what's your hydraulic pressure?" There was a little quiver in the Rio's voice when he said, "It's fluctuating, sir." "Switchbox, what's your pneumatic pressure?" I said, "Boss, it's reading 0. And he said, "Rock River, go to the cat." And when the boss gave the Rock River the order to go to the catapult, that's when I knew we were going to be the last one, assuming the pneumatics would actually come back.
As soon as the jet blast deflector comes up behind the Phantom and he is securely strapped to that catapult, suddenly that pneumatic gauge starts going, doop, 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 doop. I don't think it was fully up to 3,000 until that guy had cleared the end of the carrier, but it did come back miraculously.
So I'll let you tell this part of the story.
So we were going to go, now this is the last launch here. So they have what's called a clearing turn that you're supposed to do to get out of the way. And you can either do a clearing turn or you could do a sharp turn, clearing turn. Looking good, looking bad. And that's what we're going to do because we're the last Phantom launch. They now know we're the last Phantom launch. We get up there, the nose strut extends, we put the stick back, put that little wrist forward, mill power, we get the burner sign, full burner, chug, 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 chug. So just before the last Phantom catapult launch, we had the last meek and mild Phantom catapult suspend. We pull the power back, and the boss goes, "You want to try it one more time?" I go, "Yes, sir." This time, we go power a little bit more gently. We go into afterburner a little bit more gently, and when we launch, we go off that thing like a sheep, just to make sure we go home.
So what do you think caused the chugs? What was it?
I'm thinking maybe a little bit of steam ingestion from the catapult. That can do it.
Compressor stall or something?
Just a little compressor stall. Yeah, got no lights, nothing else. We had no problem flying back. And thanks to our maintenance crew and team, the Vigilantes beat the Rock Rivers.
Aircraft 210, manned by pilot Lieutenant Alan Colegrove and radar intercept officer Lieutenant Gregg Blankenship, positioned on the port catapult. At exactly 9:12 a.m., the shooter gave the signal that would launch the 151 F4 into history.
Thank you for watching, and come by for a tour sometime. The USS Hornet Museum is located in the San Francisco Bay Area, and this fabulous Phantom awaits.